OJ Simpson has died from cancer. The 76-year-old football star, who was charged with murdering his ex-wife Nicole Brown and her friend Ron Goodman in 1984, died at home surrounded by family. US entertainment correspondent Nelson Aspen joins us this morning. Good morning, Nelson. We'll premise this by saying that you had close links to some of those involved in this case. So we'll ask you about that shortly. But first, can you just tell me about what has been released in terms of any information about OJ Simpson's health or what has happened from his family?
That's right. OJ is certainly one of the most controversial pop culture figures of the 20th century, and not in small part due to the murder trial, but his whole career as a football star, as a film star, as a pop culture icon and pitch man. But he did pass away of complications from cancer. He denied that he was in hospice care a few weeks prior to his passing, and his family has asked for privacy, which is rather rich, considering the sort of notoriety that he achieved over the course of his lifetime. And there are comments coming out from players in the OJ Simpson case, although nothing, interestingly, from the Kardashian family. And Robert Kardashian, the ex-wife of Kris Jenner, the patriarch of the Kardashian clan before Bruce Jenner came into the picture, he had passed away, and he was a defense lawyer for OJ Simpson. So it is pertinent to expect some kind of commentary from them eventually.
I mean, this was, it's no exaggeration really, I think, to say that this was a trial of a century. In 1995, that you talk about the defense lawyers, there was the lines about if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. This was the glove that was found at the scene. You were, I guess, closely involved in the trial because of your personal links at the time, Nelson.
That's right. I mean, it was the whole scenario was the ultimate soap opera. In fact, it's broadcast on daily television, displaced television talk shows, soap operas, game shows. All anybody wanted to watch was the trial. And it changed the landscape of television as a result of that. I was actually working in the restaurant managed by my cousin Keith, who was romantically involved with the ex-wife of OJ Simpson. And OJ, for all his charm and sex appeal, I guess you could say, he could also be very erratic and very intimidating. And those of us at the restaurant knew that. So we had very clear ideas about what had happened the night that those two people were butchered outside of Nicole's apartment in Brentwood, California, and watched the trial with intense interest. So it changed the landscape of Los Angeles and certainly the landscape of pop culture as well.
He was later obviously subject to other trials, and some of which were related and some were other charges. So he was released from prison a few years ago. Had he lived under the radar since then? Did you hear much about OJ Simpson in the social scene over the last few years?
Yeah, it's very interesting you say that, because Caitlyn Jenner, who knew OJ very well, was one of the first people today to give out a statement and basically said on social media to OJ, good riddance, about his death. She also said that he was the most narcissistic, egocentric expletive in the world of sports I'd ever seen. So he was not living under the radar, OJ. He was seen recently on social media making little videos that he would post with little updates. He was out and about after he was released from his 9-year sentence, and that was on armed robbery and kidnapping charges. So while he was acquitted on the double murder charges, he did face jail time, 9 years. In fact, I think it was a longer sentence, but which he served 9 years for those other charges. And interestingly, after he got off on the murder charges, he was found guilty unanimously by a jury in the civil charges and fined to pay over $30 million to the Goldman family, which never came about.
Right. Just quickly on another topic, and it's a lighter one to finish, Nelson. Margot Robbie, of course, she has huge fame through Barbie. She's talked about a new project.
Isn't it amazing? After she took a Barbie doll and made it into the highest grossing film of 2023 with over $1 billion. We talked a couple weeks ago about how she was likely to do the same with the video game of The Sims. Now comes word that the world's most famous board game, Monopoly, will be developed as a movie project by Margot Robbie. We don't know how she's going to pull that off, but we know there's the little Mr. Moneybags or whatever that runs around the Monopoly board, and everybody has their favorite token moving piece. I like the dog. Some people like the iron or the wheelbarrow or the racing car. But yes, if anybody can make a movie version of Monopoly, leave it to Margot Robbie. If she did it with Barbie, she can do it with anything.
Totally. I was always the car. Margot Robbie is really hitting those cultural icons, isn't she? US entertainment correspondent Nelson Aspen, thanks for joining us. Always good to chat.